Okay, guys, let's say it together.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Harmonic.
Harmonic conversion.
You can't crack up. Yeah.
I'm sorry I ruined it.
Thanks, man.
I just feel like the actor who did Batu's voice, maybe he just recorded that 5 times and they made the rest of his speeches just from those syllables.
Guys, he has a wahaha at the end of this episode. You are listening to the Vassals of Kingsgrave Core Edition for episodes 11 and 12, Night of 1,000 Stars and Harmonic Conversions. This is Katie.
This is Michal.
This is Stephanie.
And even though all three of us have seen the finale, we are going to hold off on reviewing the last 2 episodes and spoiling them until the later half of this episode, so I will give due warning and possibly a music intro. So before then, we will talk about the first 2 episodes, and starting with Lemon Cakes, I will give Night of 1,000 Stars by itself a 5. This was my favorite episode of this entire season, which is shocking to me. I didn't expect to enjoy an episode about Bolin, but I thought it was delightful and really unexpectedly funny and well animated. And then Harmonic Conversions, I'll probably give a 4 because I have a lot less feelings about it in general. Stephanie?
I'll give Night of 1,000 Stars a 4. I don't know. Bowling was kind of annoying, but the stuff with life, imitating art, imitating life was amazing. And I think I'd actually give Harmonic Convergence a 4.5.
Michal?
I think I'm beyond lemon cake ratings right now. Some parts frustrated the hell out of me.
Do share. If you have no lemon cakes, then I'll launch into your frustrations.
Okay, well, I started off enjoying it quite a bit. The animation during the fight scene with the juxtaposition with the movie and everything that was going on was gorgeous and brilliant and beautifully choreographed and wonderful. My problem is that on an emotional level, Bolin was starting to make strides, and then he just was like, no, never mind, and back into being an asshole, and I was not into that.
You mean the difference between his little talk on the pier with Asami compared to him macking with Ginger in the later part of the episode?
Yeah, and then he somehow validates this whole Nuktuk thing with his actual heroics. And it's like, no, I want you to realize that all those other things are nonsense, Bolin. Like, it's not that he can't be an actor, but he's getting into that ridiculous, this is who I am, blah, 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 blah. Like the statue of Nuktuk in his apartment. I'm not a fan.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, I was thinking about this earlier about Bolin's arc overall for this entire season, and I think Mike and Brian have said that his whole role is trying to find his place in the world. And so in the very first episode, we see him still on the pro bending team, and he gets knocked out into the water. And so in this episode, we see him back on the pro bending arena, and he knocks out the assassins, quote-unquote assassins, into the water, and Shira Shinobi is in the stands narrating it. And so I guess... visually, I think that's interesting. At least they have some cohesion about where his story was going, but you're right in that, what has Bolin learned about any of this? I feel like he's emotionally still in the same place, except now he's famous and rich and people respect him for, I guess, actually doing something instead of just pretending to do something or doing something poorly like he was in Pro Bending. But, I don't know, I still really enjoyed, and maybe this is just my shock, I can't believe I enjoyed an episode that was primarily about Bolin, because for me he's such a dull character and does not have a lot of range. And at the end, I don't know, I guess he's a pure soul, and he has moments of introspective, but other words, he's always going to be the same person. And I guess I was weirdly satisfied with that.
Yeah, I guess. I also like that they had a moment where Ginger was like, okay, Bolin, you're sweet, but I'm not into you. And then it was, nope, she's into him now, too. And I don't know. For some reason, it just really rubbed me the wrong way.
He just wanted a kiss.
But he changes his mind soon enough.
You know, another thing I did like about this episode, the juxtaposition of this propaganda about the war that's going on with the actual war with the soldiers down in the South. And the one thing that, like, the one mark against this episode for me was that they didn't kill Tonorak. Because, oh my god, the setup was there. They had the ominous music. It was just from tension in the way that we went from something that was so delightful and funny and so far removed, almost a puppet show of the actual war, and then actually going to the war itself. I was fully expecting him. As soon as that ice went through him, I was like, okay, he's totally dead. Stakes are high. Korra's gonna be pissed, but no, damn it, he's still alive. They pulled back at the last minute, and guys, it would have been so much better if they fucking killed Tonrak.
I know.
And they played it like they were going to also. I was really quite surprised when you got that little from him after he gets shot in the ice and then the ice explodes. Because why wouldn't Unalaq kill him? I mean, I get fine. Like, I guess I can give them a pass on it's Nickelodeon. I don't know if you can kill the main character's father on screen. But from Unalaq's perspective, it's like, dude, why not go for it? I don't understand.
The music was right. The mood was right. It was perfect. Did you like anything in this episode at all, Nihal?
Yeah, I liked where I thought it was going. I liked all the Tenzin stuff. I thought that was really emotionally handled well and not like I was really afraid that he was going to turn on Korra and be all mad at her, and I was really happy that that didn't happen. Like they didn't brush over the gravity of the situation with Pema or anything. It felt very real, and it felt like the stakes were serious, and it felt like they were parents threatened with the loss of their child, which was really important to me. I mean, I guess I was happy that Mako got exonerated, but like that whole plot line was so stringy. I feel like this a lot with a lot of these plot lines. It's almost like a slingshot. The rubber band isn't taut anymore, so you're trying to pull it back, and like you get a little bit of mileage at it, but not nearly as much as you would have otherwise. Like if you had a good rubber band there. So that scene, there was no rubber band. It was just, yay, Mako's out of prison, whatever. Oh, is the Varric stuff in this episode? Because I did like that. Okay, so the fact that he's like, I built myself a cell because I knew I was going to end up in here eventually. That was amazing.
He is the best part of the season. That was so... Did anyone notice there's only one bed in that cell that he's keeping with his assistant?
Take Julie.
So they did the thing.
Pause. The battleship.
The funniest part of this episode is when they're all standing outside the cell and he's like, I did some good things too. I wasn't gonna hurt the president, I just wanted to start a war. Bigger war. He's so good, I love it.
They make the best red stuff in the Fire Nation.
It's interesting though because he has his moments of menace, like when he's giving the speech in the arena and he's looking at the president. Like at that point you're not quite sure if he's going to kill somebody. And you get the feeling that he would, but maybe he wouldn't feel badly about it, or he'd just put it in a completely nonsensical context. But yeah, Varric is awesome. Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. Stephanie, say something.
What?
Thanks. Okay, so Mihal, did you not even like that Pabu shoots lasers out of his eyes?
Okay, yes. And I was genuinely sad when Pabu, quote, died. And then they pulled a Superman. That was really funny.
It was the most that you felt the whole episode.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a question. Never mind the fact that Mako not telling Korra right out in front of the crowd about their fight just labels him a sociopath even more in my mind. Asami's bitch face when she sees what's going on. Is that a slammed door, you guys?
I don't think so. I mean, come on. We thought there was a slammed door last season. Honestly, when I saw that, I was just thinking, what the hell did she expect?
I actually didn't mind it so much because I thought his reaction was actually pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. I just didn't want us to be in that situation again. We had to go back and remind ourselves that this was still a thing. Like, no!
Yeah, Mako's expressions are very often hilarious.
Bolin was used very well in that scene.
I was raging pretty hard, so... I convinced myself after the sting air that was it. That was all the baiting of the love triangle they were doing again, but nope.
We know, Stephanie. Other things for this episode. Moment of pathos when Bolin is talking to Mako in prison and he says Asami couldn't come visit because it reminded her of her dad. And they actually give value to that statement by having a long pause after it, which I appreciated. But otherwise, well, maybe Asami just didn't want to visit his stupid ass in prison. But I like that we got something out of that conversation other than Bolin just being an ass.
Yeah, then Asami just went back to making sad faces all the time.
Bolin got a sad face as well when Varric's making a speech in the arena and he says, no one believed that I could take the idiot rockbender and turn him into a star.
I know, what an asshole. But I still love Varric, so.
He's the best. Not much else this episode. I mean, it was mostly around the movie star stuff. Oh, Raiko refuses to send out his troops. Dude, whatever. I guess if a teenager fell out of the sky and was like, the world is coming to an end, I'd probably say no too.
Mhm.
I was actually glad about that because I was like, at least something has consistency here.
Right.
Obviously, it wouldn't have worked for the plot because they needed to get to the South Pole stealthily. But I was glad that they took the time to be like, Raiko's still being nope, and almost because of harmonic convergence, it's like I'm not sending you guys my whole army when I might need them right here.
His wife is
Freaking scary.
name's Buttercup.
Is it?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Oh God.
Yeah, she's totally Buttercup.
Oh my god. Like Poppy Beifong.
Poppy Beifong. What is Poppy Beifong?
Toss bomb.
Oh, I don't remember that. Jeez. Anyway, if there's nothing more to be said about Night of a Thousand Stars, which I was totally right that it was going to be a movie premiere, we can move on to Harmonic Convergence.
But also, okay, it's such a beautiful title. I feel like they didn't quite.
Yeah, there was nothing to offset it. Like, I was sure that Night of a Thousand Stars was going to refer to something spiritual, and I guess it just referred to the movie premiere.
Yeah.
Other than that, if y'all want to move to Harmonic Convergence,
Wait, where was the one where Ginger starts macking on Bolin again?
that was this episode.
Yeah, I just rolled my eyes so hard at that.
Yeah.
I told Mihal this, but I hope next season this doesn't become a cartoon episode plot of Bolin becomes her sugar daddy and then he has to realize that she really doesn't like him and dump her when he stands up for himself. Because as soon as that happened, I was like, no, this is just the Addams Family too. We've seen this plot.
You don't ship Bollinger?
Shut up. No, not at all.
Ugh, no, he's such a jerk to her.
That's true. I mean, she doesn't seem like a good person, but he was a total pig this whole season.
Exactly.
Also, I was like, maybe she has her head on her shoulders, which is why I was happy about that situation where she was like, you're nice, you're sweet, fine, but I don't want to date you. And then they were like, no, she really does want to date him because now he's
A hero.
yeah.
Now she's
Like-
a gold digger.
Yeah.
Oh, I hold out hope. No, I don't. Anyway, moving on. Harmonic Convergence.
Okay, guys, let's say it together. Harmonic
Harmonic-
convergence.
Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3.
Harmonic.
Harmonic convergence.
You can't crack up. Yeah.
I'm sorry I ruined it.
Thanks, man.
I just feel like the actor who did Batu's voice, maybe he just recorded that 5 times and they made the rest of his speeches just from those syllables.
Guys, he has a wahaha at the end of the
Oh my god, he really did. I was a little surprised. And I was like, you know what? It's okay. He's the spirit of evil. It's okay that he does that.
But the camera zooms in on his, he doesn't have a face, but his symbol, and he wahaha'd right into the camera.
That was amazing, though. I loved that.
Oh, it was so
Just
silly.
so campy. I loved it.
It was. So in this episode, I thought the assault from the biplane was really, really well done. And I'm usually not impressed by like the B team's plots. Last season I was not impressed with Iroh's little adventures with the biplanes, but this I thought was actually a lot of fun. And again, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it, especially that shot of them flying in and just seeing the portal surrounded by this funnel of dark spirits. It was very cinematic. I liked it.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part of this episode has to be at the very beginning when Korra is punching out that dummy, but then Bolin comes in and he turns around and he shows Mako his split pants, and then he starts talking about how he misses Varric because Varric knows how to make a long trip seem short.
Yep.
That was my favorite part.
You know Bolin misses his sugar daddy.
He knows his way around that yacht.
You dirty fanfiction writers.
It writes itself. I miss that guy. He really knew how to make a long trip interesting. Bites into that pie. Delicious. Anyway, most of this episode was taken up just by the assault on the spirit portal and the revelation that Unlock wants to be the Dark Avatar. Did anyone think that his voice actor was really hamming it up?
Yeah, but they
And I
were
loved
doing that on
every
the
second.
animation too. They gave him this wolfish smile. It's hilarious.
It was really silly. Uh, one of my favorite moments from this episode, and whether or not it has payoff later, I won't say, but when Korra is pleading to her cousins, you get this glimmer of Desna and Eska's character when it seems like they're kind of being turned, but then Desna's like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Our father is the wisest man in the world. If he says what he is doing is right, I believe him. And he just has this expression of torn between loyalty and worry and hurt and confusion. And I was like, oh my god, this is great. I feel like we're getting more character from them. And the fact that these kids have just been raised to think that their father is infallible, I thought it was really delicious. And again, whether that pays off, we'll talk about later.
Yeah. I wanted them to focus more on Korra's argument that he's not going to be your father anymore. This is so because that would have been an interesting working against him to save him sort of thing.
Completely loyal to him, and they seem really off-put when he's talking about becoming the Dark Avatar. They give him this glance that you could read a lot into, and it just seems like, okay, these kids, they worship their dad. He can do no wrong. And what else happened this episode, guys? Oh, they told Asami to go away.
Well, not before she gets the freaking back of her plane torn off. I was expecting a scream or a uh-oh or a whatever. All she's like is, hold on. You have no rudder to your plane. You have two wings. That's it. And then she crashes them into the snow and saves their lives. And what does she get for it? Guys, what does Asami get for all of this? Nothing.
Katie, remember when Turning the Tides aired, thought she killed the entire crew by crashing the car?
Yeah.
So I was convinced that happened with the plane.
You thought they were dead?
Yeah. I was just like, well.
Of course not. I mean, we've seen in Civil Wars they can survive high impact from a tailspin out of a like a World War I era plane. Sure.
Yeah.
Into snow.
I mean, the shot where they send her away is so great, guys, because it's Korra standing in the foreground with her dad, and she turns and she says, Asami, can you take me back to the healing hut? And Asami goes, uh-huh, and walks off screen.
Yeah.
That's the last we see of her.
There are two characters that I thought had FML all over their faces for these episodes, and those were Pema and Asami.
Somebody on the forums, I think, put it in a decent way, which is that Asami never gets to have her say. Shit happens to her, and she never gets to talk about it. She's just in the background, making faces.
Risking her life for people who show her no gratitude.
I guess, I don't know what they would have had her do if she stuck around. She can't really rush in there with her electric glove. The evil spirits.
It's a good point, whatever, but the problem is that we had stupid Tonrak still alive. So it was like, oh, okay, you can just do this and take the man away. Although I love that she just hops on the sky bison and she can apparently fly anything. But so if Tonrak hadn't been there, for example, I don't know, she could have hidden in a tree or tried to seduce a guard or something. I don't know.
She could have hidden in a tree, and then okay, I can't spoil it, but when certain stuff happens next episode, she would have been in the right place to do something about it.
Which is why Tonrak should have died.
Yeah, she needed to change Tonrak's bedpan back at the healing huts. Other than that, Unalaq brings up an interesting argument about how Juan was probably wrong in segregating the spirits from the real world. There shouldn't even be a bridge. And everything goes purple at the end. Boomy gets to do his little flute dance with the spirit, which was kind of cute.
I actually like that, and I was glad it didn't work with the other spirits. We don't know what this spirit's the spirit of. Maybe it's the spirit of music.
Mm-hmm.
And, these other spirits were clearly not having that, so I thought that was good.
Also, apparently these Northern Water Tribe soldiers are standing around while these dark spirits are floating in the background, and that one guy's just like, if I wanted to have a ball of evil sitting over my shoulder, it was perfect tonally of that. Like, they don't even know what to think about this crap.
Yep.
Does anyone have any other thoughts about harmonic convergence?
Did you guys think that Unalaq was gonna succeed?
No.
No. What are you smoking?
Wait, when? What time frame are you talking about?
I'm saying after you finish watching Harmonic Convergence, were you like, oh, this might actually happen, the Dark Avatar?
Oh, sure. I thought that would go through.
Well,
we had 2 episodes left.
I thought it would, yeah, I thought it would do that, but then I'm just like, oh, how's Sarah going to give him the beatdown?
Mm-hmm.
The last episode is called A Light in the Dark, so obviously things were gonna work out somehow.
Yeah.
But without further ado, if we have nothing left to say about these first 2 episodes, which I did enjoy, I think I enjoyed these more than the finale.
Oh, that is blasphemy, Katie.
It is yeah, total blasphemy. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
All right, locked and loaded. So without further ado, we are going to discuss the finale for season 2, which we waited a year for. Darkness
More than a
Falls.
year. It's like 16 months.
It was really 16 months?
It was something like that. Yeah, 15 or 16 months.
Jeez.
Because we finished in June.
That's right. All right, anyway, episodes 13 and 14 for season 2, Darkness Falls and A Light in the Dark. So I have softened on the season 1 finale over the last 16 months. I actually think it's fantastic. I'm high emotional. It's a masterpiece. I think it's perfect. And these 2 episodes, I was kind of not into it so much. I mean, I think there was definitely some high points, but overall my emotions were pretty flat. So I will have to give it a 3, which I think is 1 number lower than I gave last season's finale. Stephanie?
I'd have to give it a 4.75. It was amazing. I love Korra's astral projection awesomeness, giving the beat down to Unalaq in the bay, and then Jesus Janora, and then Zhao the Moon Slayer. Oh man, the only thing I didn't like was the shipping, but I mean, that's
Yes,
just me.
we know. Mihal.
I liked Darkness Falls a lot. I think that was probably my favorite episode of the season. I thought that was really, really strong and pathetic and weird. And I don't usually like when they just pull things out of nowhere. It's like, oh, and there's this thing called the Fog of Lost Souls, and it holds all your answers, and there you go. But it was used so well that I don't care. The second part, honestly, it did a little bit of nothing for me. I was not into the astral projection thing. That to me seemed like, well, I did appreciate I don't know if you'd call it irony or whatever, but the fact that Korra is literally in an avatar now, just when she's lost the ability to be the avatar. But I was like, this isn't Korra. I don't care about this huge blue monster. It wasn't like Aang and Quazilla, which is I think the closest thing that I have a basis to compare it to. Like there was no emotion. It was just
No individuality.
Yeah, no individuality. And also the Vatunalak thing was really cool. I thought that was cool as hell. I want my brother to cosplay that. But just when it was contrasted with Korra, I don't know, it was like, oh, and there's this tree of memory. I was like, no, don't you guys understand? That's Ko's tree. That's Ko's tree. And then they were like, this is the tree of time. And I was like, what? I kept expecting Ko to crawl out of there. And like,
Ko's tree?
No, that was the theory.
It looked like Ko's tree. It looked exactly like Ko's tree.
I don't remember.
We talked about that a long time ago. But yeah, I agree with you, Mihal. I was not emotionally jiving with the big kaiju fight. And this is almost like an anime thing where it's like near the very end of a series when it becomes this world-ending conflict where everyone is all powered up and they're fighting on such a huge cosmic scale. That's usually when I tune out of the show because it's hard to care or connect or anything. And it's fine that they want to turn it up to 11, but I connect much harder with Korra fighting Amon in a hallway, getting slammed around and kicked around. I mean, I don't think you can say anymore that Korra hasn't learned anything or she hasn't grown. This is something that fans have been complaining about for a long time, or wanting to see happen, is that she puts so much emphasis on herself being the Avatar, and the fact that she's forced to use just herself as a weapon is very refreshing. And some people, are saying that it's the trademark of this series and Airbender now to, at the very end, to pull out some Deus Ex Machina. I was perfectly fine with the Tree of Time because that was an emotional high point. Her reviewing everything that happened to her and realizing, yes, I can do this. And Tenzin finally putting his trust in her and saying, I believe in you. That felt like it needed to happen. And even though visually I didn't think the astral projection thing was very interesting, I thought her walking the bridge to herself, to her larger spirit, I thought was actually pretty gorgeous because it brought up all sorts of memories from last.
I love Korra so much just as a character. I was so happy that that was happening, and just like, yes.
There were a lot of callbacks in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think a lot of people were complaining that Korra couldn't walk the bridge to herself or do that thing because she wasn't the Avatar anymore.
I think the bridge has nothing to do with being the Avatar. I think
exactly. I think that maybe it connects to a larger spiritual plane or whatever, and then just we might not say that's Korra's forte, but I mean, she was in the damn spirit world in the damn Tree of Time.
All the cosmic energy of the universe is here.
Like Spoomy was saying, there's spiritual energy everywhere.
Some people were confused, but it always comes back to the lion turtle and what the lion turtle was telling Aang at the very end of Airbender, which is that before we had bending, people bended their energy or their inner selves out into the universe. And so seeing that visually, I think, might have been too much for some people, but it's a pistol that they haven't pulled out until this point. Now they decided to use it.
Is that what was happening? Because, I mean, I was just confused. I was also I don't know. It was just like, oh, so Korra can just sit down and create this now?
No, the wording is almost identical to what the lion turtle tells Aang and what Tenzin is telling Korra. So I think it's information that was passed down to him. And I don't think it's something that would be feasible except under these extreme circumstances.
Right. I think that's what I was going to say, that the mechanics of it really confused me. So it was harder to connect to it.
Did anyone cringe when Vaatu or Unalaq rips Rava out of Korra's mouth? And then
yes, that was the freakiest shit I've ever seen.
And then just starts beating the shit out of her, and one by one, all the past avatars turn to cinders.
Oh my god.
Very difficult.
I did not expect that at all. Wow.
Well, yeah, that was something that I was unexpectedly. Well, first of all, the imagery was creepy and almost rapey in a way. It was weird. I'm not criticizing them for that. I think it was a powerful moment, and I think it warranted it. But in contrast to the whole seeing Astral Korra fight the Vatunalak, I was really moved when Korra said the Avatar cycle is over. That's it. And I was like, no, I was really upset. And I kind of hadn't realized how much I had invested in the world having this continuity, even though I've discussed it forever, you know, and the idea of that being over was really, really sad to me.
Well, also the fact that she apologizes to Tenzin when she says, so sorry, and then she starts to cry. I mean, I love Korra and Tenzin's relationship, but just that she felt like she had to apologize to him for destroying the cycle, because essentially what's happened is that her connection to Aang and all the past avatars is gone forever. And so a lot of what happened this episode felt like Mike and Brian were tearing down the last vestiges of connection to Airbender. The Avatar doesn't essentially exist for the reason it has for 10,000 years. Like, everything has been reset. The status quo doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, I guess it means that Korra, she's the genesis of a new Avatar cycle. So Rava is still inside her. She'll still be reincarnated into a new Avatar, but that past 10,000 years has been wiped clean.
Mm-hmm.
She is the new Wan.
I love that.
Yeah, it makes me sad because I didn't get the significance of it while it was happening because you don't know how it's going to end. But like the idea that Aang and all the past avatars, several of whom we really like, even if we have issues with them, are functionally irrelevant at this point.
Right.
It's tough. I mean, I think it's an interesting decision for the show to make in terms of that being the price of this victory, because there aren't that many personal costs that happen other than to Porasami, and I guess the relationships, but we can talk about that later. But I don't know. I probably have to rewatch it or just talk to my siblings when they watch it.
That's the history that belongs to the previous cycle. You defeated Vaatu, he's gone for another 10,000 years, but it's almost like, I can't think of a good metaphor for this, where in like 10,000 years the same thing might need to happen again. Korra happens to be at the very, she's on the threshold. She belongs to the past cycle, and now she's the beginning of the new cycle. But also, she makes an interesting decision at the very end of this episode, and I really like that she shows initiative and maturity and questioning whether or not this decision 10,000 years ago was the right one. She gives this epic speech about how the War of the Five Kings is over and the age of Pokemon now begins. But
And Tom Nock's like, I'm chief? Me?
it's just, on the one hand, it's like, okay, you're doing something huge and completely rewriting the fabric of your world and abdicating your role as the mediator between these two worlds by melding them together. But I'm not quite sure. I can't imagine people all over the world appreciating it. Things like Ko, the face stealer, are now able to crawl out of the spirit world
Yes,
and into,
exactly.
like, down the street of Republic City. That seems completely ludicrous. And I guess that's Korra's job now, is policing that sort of thing. But it's like, wow, I would be fucking pissed.
hmm
I
Or
feel
just some tree spirit tries to possess you.
Yeah.
You already saw that? What that does to you? No, thank you.
Was it Yumi Hall who said season 3 is just going to be called Oops?
Yeah. I see, it's funny because obviously she's the avatar, right? So she has I guess the authority to make that decision. And the world is in a different place, but I can almost hear Juan's spirit going, "What are you doing? Stop it. You want to live on the backs of lion turtles? What?"
One
And
spirit is dead, Michal. Didn't you see the episode?
I did, I know, but in my head.
I know.
Uh,
I'm just giving you a hard time.
But I almost feel like you should take a worldwide vote or something. Be like, is everybody cool with this? The portals are open. I mean, I guess she can always close them again.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's just the world is unrecognizable now. So much of the mythology feels like it's busted wide open at the end of this, that it feels like we've severed a lot of important things that tied us to this world. And I'm not, again, I don't know how to feel about that right now. They set up a lot of new problems for themselves, but they also eradicated a lot of boundaries and consequences that made this world interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being tied down, can we talk about what happened with Janora? Because I didn't understand that part either.
Which part?
It's like Tinkerbell. And
Oh, Jesus, Janora?
yeah.
She came there to, I don't know.
No, I got it. It was the ultimate showdown of ultimate destiny, and through the clouds descended Janora, like Chuck Norris.
I don't know how many people are going to recognize that reference from the Stone Age of the internet, but thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
I know Chuck Norris.
I haven't thought about that song since sophomore year of high school. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I don't know what was going on. Janora, she had a destiny, and she came down and she brought out the light in Vatu, and that's how Korra was able to find Rava again. I don't know. It was...
The butterflies, or those two butterflies she had were light spirits. She gave one to Tenzin, she kept the other one.
I did
But
not
was
even...
that Rava then?
I don't know.
The butterfly helped her find the light.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, Janora did her job. She's just so gosh darn perfect.
I mean, I really liked her involvement, and I really liked the scene where she woke up in the healing pool or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I don't know, maybe I just needed to pay more attention, but the whole thing was really, really spiritual to me, and it was, like, I felt like I was in a lecture or something on Eastern mythology, and I was like, I don't understand how this works.
It was all very nebulous, and I was so out of it at that point. I was like, okay, whatever. We're watching two giant light monsters fight each other, and Janora comes down in a ball of, like, what? Okay, yeah, I'll go.
We have to talk about the mist, right? Going back a little bit.
Zhao.
That was awesome.
It was incredible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just when I was getting worried that they were going to have too many callbacks this episode, when Iroh showed up again, I was so glad when
Zhao came back. Yes.
Guys, that was really dark. Oh, he's apparently been in there for the better part of a century, losing his mind.
Oh, it's gone.
Oh yeah, and I thought it was really dark, the fact that Tenzin, he finds his family, and then he just leaves all these poor souls.
I
know.
Maybe they're bad people.
How does he know that?
I thought it was interesting that Kaya, the thing that she says before she runs off in the mist is, I have no family, you can't tie me down. I think that says a lot about her character.
I actually found that very moving. It would have been slightly more moving if she'd been the oldest.
Right.
because I thought for a second she was reverting to like her, hey, you have a new baby brother. What? But still, it still worked for me. I think it was probably the most emotional moment we got from her, at least just her alone. I wish we'd gotten maybe one or two scenes of her and Boomy in the mist, but I guess there wasn't time.
Right. And then we get to see old Aang, old bearded Aang, and Simmons, his delivery of "I am Tenzin, I am Tenzin," it made me laugh. It was a little narmy.
Yeah.
But it was necessary for what he had to tell Korra later.
Yeah, and I guess I hadn't really thought of it in that way before, that he really felt that he had to be Aang. The whole thing he was saying, like, I am the hope of the next generation of airbenders, and it was like, you are, but you have children, also have a life, and I feel like he was very much almost not letting himself think about any goals beyond what Aang's goals were.
Right.
And I liked that Aang, or Tenzin's, his ego, was like, no, you have your own life, and that's okay. And yeah, it worked for me.
Again, determined to wipe away the past as much as possible. I feel like there was almost an anger and I'm totally willingly reading this into it. It was almost an anger of like, yeah, we're gonna tear down Aang's statue in Republic City. Take that, fans. You want Airbender? Here's Airbender. Nah.
Oh, if that's the case, I'd like it even more.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the show, obviously. It's just that there's so many annoying people on the internet.
Do you think they'll change the intro now?
Maybe. Huh. Never thought of that.
Because it's Kyoshi, Roku, Aang, and Korra, and now that Korra's not connected to those past lives. And essentially, they've hit the end of their tether as far as they've done the 4 elements for 4 books, and now they've done spirit. They're going to have to do something different for the last 2. I think they might change the intro.
That would be
upsetting.
Yeah. I wonder if you watch season 1 and 2 together, because according to official TV seasons, they're one season, how it plays as one story, like Mimon's story being like chapter 1 and then the spirit story being chapter 2.
Interesting. I still like season 1 a lot better.
Yeah.
But if we want to talk a little bit about the relationships and how things ended up. Is it weird that I really liked Bolin and Eska's bitty kiss?
Oh, I loved that.
That was adorable, even though I was still invested in the fact that their closest relationship was with their father, which went completely out the window at the end, and I was rolling my eyes when Eska was coming around to Bolin's crying, but then she seemed so pathetic in that moment that she's so easily manipulated. I felt a little, I don't know, I felt something. That is my biggest my biggest compliment at this point. Yeah, I mean, I was really mad at the very end that apparently Unalaq's death is completely consequence-free. Korra, she goes over to inform them that their father is dead, and they're like, eh.
I thought that was hilarious. I thought everything with the twins in the finale was hilarious. I just loved the, hello, my feeble turtle duck.
That was funny. Yeah. I don't know, I guess I read so much into that earlier scene in the tent where Desna was defending their father that it felt more like, okay, we have 3 minutes left, we've totally written ourselves into a corner, we can't have an emotional climax where they feel bad, so we'll just have them not care. We'll have them not give a shit. Oh, by the way, they have to tell their mother, we have to tell her that her husband is dead. But I guess
her mother is Wan Shi Tong, didn't you know this?
Yeah. Like, I have no idea what basis Bolin's sudden revelation that he loves Eska is coming from, other than it's the end of the world and you must cling to what driftwood you can. But I kind of dig that they were going to be together at the end, but no, apparently this whole disaster of a relationship is completely gone because they can't deal with a long-distance relationship. Like, I don't know, like, so many things fell apart here at the end.
No, it wasn't that they couldn't deal with a long-distance relationship. Both of them were like, okay, yeah, we got that out of our systems.
But what was the point of it all?
Yeah,
I thought it was hilarious. Whatever. I guess my sense of humor is just way too unsophisticated.
It was funny, but still, it made me feel like we wasted our time.
Yeah, that annoyed me because I didn't know how I was supposed to feel about it. I never got the sense that the show wanted me to root for Boleska, and I didn't. And then Bolin is like, Ginger, 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 kiss me, kiss me, kiss me, kiss me. And then Bolin's like, no, I'm good. And then it kind of flips back to being like, oh no, you guys should care about Bolin and Eska. And I was like, Why?
Yeah.
Where is this coming from?
I wasn't under the impression that we were supposed to take it seriously at all, so.
But the thing is, Mako tells him that was the best acting I've ever seen, and Bolin apparently wasn't acting. It's like, at what point was he ever not terrified of her and interested in her legitimately? Heat of the moment? I don't know. It seemed,
Well, y'all know that the end of the world is a powerful aphrodisiac.
the end of the world, sure.
That's what happened in the end of every season of Buffy.
But okay, speaking of things that I felt like had no real payoff, I appreciate that Korra and Mako are mature enough to realize that they can break up like civil human beings. But guys, what, like, why did they put us through this whole fucking thing, this whole season, if they're just gonna break up at the end? I felt, Stephanie,
I know.
You got
I
my
know.
messages.
It's just like, they've made them now into like one of those annoying will they or won't they couples. Part of what I liked about them a lot, what I was looking forward to seeing from them in book 2 was to see them become stable, functional couple. I mean, fight occasionally as two really strong personalities like both theirs are wont to do, but ugh.
I wonder if this is, again, a shut door. Because I'm split on it. On the one hand, I admire that scene because I thought it was mature on both their parts. I thought it showed growth. But on the other hand, I hate when it opens the door to otherwise. And I just had a vision of 2 more seasons of Mako abusing Asami's emotions because now he doesn't have Korra dragging him down.
Oh my god.
Bolin making a move on. I was so afraid when he slides to the screen at the very end that
It's
he
gonna
was
make a move on Korra.
like, oh, she's
Yeah.
single now.
I'll repeat what I told you, Katie, which is that I know, and you know, and we all know that this relationship is screwed because of the Asami thing. And then Korra's like, we both know that this doesn't work. How do you know that? You had one fight. Where's this coming from? Did you magically see in the magical tree that he kissed Asami? Where's this newfound understanding coming from that this guy that you've been lusting after for 6+ months, you're just like, oh, never mind, whatever. It was stupid. It was never going to work anyway. And I don't care. I'm not a shipper. Not on this show. I don't care. But like, it just seemed to me like, how are you privy to this information?
It didn't make sense that they had a fight about, I don't know, I mean, for her, I understand why she felt hurt at the time because of her family was on the line. But at the same time, it's like you guys had a fight when nations were at stake. You can have some forgiveness in order, but still, I had no, like, if you had asked me at any point, even 5 minutes before it happened, I would have put money down that they would have been okay at the end. And I guess part of me was really invested in seeing them okay because, what is the term? Effort validation. It's like when you read Ulysses by James Joyce and you pretend to like it, and then when you get to the end, you're like, well, now I feel validated because I can tell people I read Ulysses by James Joyce, not because I actually enjoyed it. It's like that. I feel like at the end, I need to have something to show to it, and now I don't. I just have 2 people who have been split up, and we suffered so much on their behalf.
And then Mako just gets off scot-free for dating Asami.
As always.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, remember how this was going to be the season of them trying super hard to make everybody like Mako?
They got it right for a couple of episodes.
Did we actually get that down in writing from Breck, though?
No, I'm saying that was like everybody's theory.
I see.
I just don't. I guess
more like, didn't they say that there wouldn't be any new love triangle bullshit in book 2, and they said that they were going to go in a completely different direction? That is not a completely different direction. This is false advertising.
It was backwards. Same direction, just backwards.
Michael DiMartino also said that Mako and Korra were meant for each other. Just crap on that carpet.
Trolls.
Trolls.
I guess, I mean, it's just, right, okay, so, here's the thing. Like you said, they did actually start to make Mako a really interesting character. Like, no, he has this whole thing, and then Asami maybe still has feelings for him, but he's like, no, I broke up with Korra, but I still have feelings for her, and I was like, oh, this is actually very mature and realistic, and then they just threw it out the window! What's on? What was this season?
I felt like after watching these 4 episodes that I'd been wrung out like a towel. Felt exhausted and confused and not sure of my feelings.
Like Mako.
Shut up. He's a sociopath he has a hard time telling the truth. I don't know what his deal is. Probably.
At least tell her then. At least when she's already breaking up with you, be like, oh, by the way, I totally got back together with Asami while you were away.
I would have thought that that would have made him an even bigger douche, so.
Yeah, but now he has no accountability.
I know, but well.
Just like Bolin has no accountability, he just wants to make out with the girlies. Doesn't matter who they are.
Or
Ginger,
if they say no.
or if they say no. Yeah, Ginger or Eska. Wonder if we'll ever see the twins again. Well, we'll be seeing Varric again. He did make his escape with
Yes, he and Julie did the thing.
his human parachute.
I was kind of annoyed about that, though.
Why?
Because he came across as really menacing a couple of episodes ago, and I don't have a problem with him being both menacing and funny, but it was sort of like, oh, it's all okay. It doesn't matter.
My only fear was that he would turn out like Hiroshi Sato, or so I was just like, yes, he is staying delightfully loopy, frothing at the mouth.
I was expecting a mecha showdown with him, so I'm okay with what we got. It is a little dodgy though that this guy who is a war profiteer, and I don't need the show to moralize me or like get on a soapbox, but he's a war profiteer who was trying to start a war, and everyone's like, oh, good old Varric, he's a scumbag, but he's also kind of funny, and I guess he'll be around in the future.
When you put it like that, you're all right.
Sexy, sexy Varric. Do we have any other thoughts and feelings about?
Well, actually, I just remembered, in A Night of a Thousand Stars, when Bolin calls Mako a criminal, and now I'm just thinking, wow, Bolin, after all he did for you, in getting into dubious legal trouble, you call him a criminal.
I don't think Bolin thought Mako's situation was permanent. He said that he was going to get him an attorney, and I don't think he would have been joking if he thought that Mako was actually going to go to real prison.
Yeah, but still, just like,
it was a little.
Wow, you're ungrateful, Bolin.
I think that's in his character to be kind of.
Oh, I know.
Childlike.
Guys, Mako and Bolin had way better characterization at Republic City Hustle than they did this whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Shady Shin was pretty awesome. Remember Shady Shin?
Yes. Although Zolt was probably mischaracterized. I mean, come on. In Republic City Hustle, a real mob boss would have, well, Toza and all the boys sleeping with the fishes.
Hey, some mob bosses have kids, and they know that street kids need to be taken care of, and they let street kids off the handle. We're not talking about Republic City Hustle. I don't want to talk about something that I really, really like.
I'm just, I mean, it was such a long wait, and I had such high hopes, and the first episode was really good, and I don't know, you guys, I just feel exhausted. I'm tired of looking for stuff to like.
Oh, are you leaving us?
No, I'm not. I'm certainly not. And I'll watch season 3 and I'll be really excited for it, but I wish I didn't have to like excise a bunch of this information from my mind.
Right.
Like everything they did with Lynn.
Yeah,
except for her shot of her carrying Raiko. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then I saw 1,000 ships launching online. And then...
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I'm trying to organize my thoughts about the season with the way that I felt about season 1. I can't imagine going back through season 2 and finding a newfound appreciation for it the way I did with season 1. So much just let me down this time around. And like, I was really hopeful several weeks back about how even if this season stinks, maybe it's just because it was a bad storyline and maybe next season will be better. My hopes have significantly decreased for the potential of future storylines after the season is wrapped. I will still watch, we'll all be back, right guys?
Oh yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. I could never leave this show.
I couldn't either. I think my bar has been lowered for what to expect, and that's a saddening thing.
Yeah.
That's for the answer is really to get Brian back on the writing crew, but that doesn't really seem like it's possible.
I mean, we can speculate about what would make the show better, whether Brian...
Yeah, true.
I think... And it's just a gut feeling where I feel a lot of the wrong done this season was because of too many writers, which is strange to say, and I think Airbender got away with it for a lot of reasons, mainly because Airbender's structure was so different. But in this case, so many conflicts feel unique to one episode, and then they never come back again. What Lee said last week stuck with me, which is that they are not taking advantage of character opportunities that are right there, like not even hard to discern. And maybe they didn't want to go for dark and deep, but still, there's a difference between going deep and not even going in the shallow end. As far as the future of our podcast, we're at the end, you guys. We're at the end of the leash, but It's possible that in the future, by the future I mean next week, that Lee or Amin will want to give their 2 bits on the ending. I'm trying to draw this out because I don't want to hang up.
Aw.
This is also about my bedtime, so I'm falling asleep.
Okay,
Oh,
well, I
really?
gotta go feed myself, so.
Habu and Naga were in these 2 episodes. You know, all I could think about when they were dyed for the movie was Beastmaster, the fantasy movie from the 80s, where they dyed the tiger black, and it ended up dying because it was licking the dye off of itself and ingesting it. So
Yikes.
maybe next season there won't be any Naga and Papu.
Well, that's not when Korra left them behind. It was really sad.
It was.
What was that? Harmonic Convergence? I think that was it.
Yep. So,
Harmonic Convergence seemed to last as long as they needed it to, because it was not that long when Wand was fighting.
no, not at all.
So it's like in Dragon Ball Z, they have to drag it out as long as possible.
We need 12 more episodes while Namek almost explodes.
Yes.
So do we want to try again to say harmonic convergence is 1?
Okay.
Alright. 1, 2, 3.
Harmonic
Convergence. I think we just gave Skype a seizure.
Just as planned.
Bravo. No, that guy had a great voice. I have no real qualms with it, but it was easily mockable.
Mockable. Yep.
Yeah.
Your disdain is palpable.
Something I thought was a nice touch was when Tenzin, Bumi, and Kai were in the spirit world and they met Iroh and they were like, "Oh, Iroh," and it was like, "All right, you guys knew him. That was really nice." Yeah, that was a good piece of continuity that I wasn't expecting.
Oh, really? How old did Iroh live to be?
That's right. We have an actual age now because it said he died 30 years ago.
Oh, right.
So they were like in their 20s.
What? 20s?
I think so. They, for some reason, 30 is the number that pops in my head. So I think it was 30 years ago when he passed away.
I actually thought that. I mean, I could totally be wrong, but I thought that when they were like, "Oh, it's been a really long time," and he was like, "Yeah, almost 40 years or something." Am I making that up? I might be making it up.
No, he said something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, even if they were little kids, I like that they Aang took his grandkids to meet Iroh. That was so sweet.
Not his grandkids.
Well, he probably knew his grandkids.
No, he didn't.
Oh right, I'm sorry. What
Chinora's
did I say? Oh right, Aang took his kids, not his grandkids. You're right.
He never met his grandkids. So I actually don't know the production history of the show that well, but do you think that they thought this was going to be the final episode?
I have no idea. Because they only announced 2 extra books, right before Comic-Con last year?
I think book 2 was well into development at that point, so they had to have,
Yeah.
How would you have felt if this was the end of everything?
I would have loved it, still.
I think I would have felt a little hollow and a lot sadder, but I think it would have worked. I mean, just the plot is, that's a really interesting place to end off on.
I would have been bummed. If this had been the end of everything, I would have preferred there have been no book 2. I would have preferred it end in book 1. At the very, I know that's a harsh criticism, but that's genuinely what I feel, is that I don't feel like there was enough good, and there was a lot of good stuff, but I don't think there was enough good in this episode to justify the season's existence almost.
Yeah, I would still have wanted to have had beginnings.
Yeah, I guess if best thing that came out of the season, it was definitely those 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I actually think that the finale was better than beginnings. So
oh, come on. No.
What?
Really?
It's not for the shipping shit. Yeah, it was better.
Even
Sorry
with
to
the
say.
glowy explanationless avatar battle?
Yeah, loved it. No, I just love the part where Korra picks Unalaka up. I don't know, it seems like a very pro wrestler kind of move.
I said this on the forums that it reminded me of 2 seminal animation works, which is Satoshi Kon's Paprika, which has a final battle between this dark spirit and a giant naked woman, and also Neon Genesis, which I felt a lot of.
Oh, the movie about giant naked Ray.
Yeah, I love that show.
Okay, guys, these anime that you guys reference have the weirdest names.
Neon Genesis Evangelion.
I don't know. I think Evangelion's overrated to say
Oh,
the truth.
I will fight you.
Yeah, me too. No.
Alright, guys.
We'll talk soon.
We'll talk a year later.
Yeah, a year later.
Was it really no, we wait. Guys,
Yep,
I have a question
Go.
about Grey Delisle.
Sure.
She was the spider?
That was her?
And apparently, according to IMDb, the mushroom.
Hmm, cool.
I would not. I totally forgot that she was supposed to be a spirit.
Me
There was
too.
just like this big question through the thing. Who's this dark spirit she's gonna play? Who's this dark spirit? It's the freaking spider with the star spider.
That mushroom was.
Okay, who thought Mario when they saw that star?
I did.
I did. Oh, I did. Dun 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 dun. That song from Mario Kart when he plays when you get a star. No.
I have so little reference that you guys have. I mean, I know what Mario is. I used to play it on my brother's little handheld Nintendo, but like, yeah.
The mushroom was pretty funny though.
Oh yeah, that was an awesome
I
mushroom.
had the same mushroom.
I will say that like these last two episodes, I thought tonally were all over the place.
Yep.
Because we were cutting from these high comedic moments and then going back to Korra fighting for the fate of the world. It was a little distracting.
Man, I'm on Grey Delisle's IMDb page. This thing does not end.
She's a talented voice actor.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Grey Delisle did voices in Mass Effect 3.
Who was she?
Dalatras Ashiel and Callie Sanders.
I actually know who both of those people are. That's pretty great. I wouldn't have guessed it was her either way.
Yeah, she's good.
But like,
I'm just shooting from the hip here. I've never played Mass Effect, and I have no idea what Agents of Shield actually does. So,
well, Mass Effect is the most wonderful thing ever.
well, yes, you told me that, but
Agents of Shield is the most wonderful thing ever. Agents of Shield. Agents of
Joss Whedon
Shield
is
makes
not the
me
most
write
wonderful
things
thing.
in rhyme. I wrote my hypeable recap last week in rhyme.
I saw that.
He dared me, and I did it.
I read it too. I was impressed.
Oh, thanks.
I don't know what this is, but she cares. She cares a lot.
At first I was like, well, I'm totally not going to do it, and then I was like, oh, I totally might do that, and now I feel like I have to do it again. It's easier now that some people have started to come around and be like, oh, this show doesn't suck. Whereas like at the beginning it was like everybody was like, oh my god, it sucks so bad, and I was like, guys, it's been 3 episodes, chill the hell down. Yeah, but so I don't feel like as much of an urge, but I might at some point. I just have to. Everything has to be exactly in the right place for me to do it.
Anyway, guys.
All right, yeah, I gotta go feed myself, like I said.
All right.
I will edit this over.
Sure.
Do you doubt me? I mean, I've been doing it for a while.
No, of course not. That was a mean joke. I'm sorry.
Yeah, maybe I'll just sit on it for a couple of weeks. How would you like that?
Well, you do have until at least a week because technically the episodes aren't out yet. So
Yeah, I guess that's true. I'll probably get it done by Wednesday. These for some reason don't take me as long as that other monster I'm sitting on. Alright guys, have a good night.
you too. Forever.
Marco, you ass.
I'm so angry they broke up, you guys.
I know, me too.
I think as soon as the episode ended, I went on my Tumblr and I did what I never did, which was just rage posted. There was no alcohol in the house, so I couldn't mix myself a drink.
I need to look
You didn't watch it drunk, Kitty?
I didn't. Well, I ran out of my usual stuff, and I'm too cheap right now to go to the liquor store, so really upset when that episode ended. I was like, man, I could really use a stiff one right now. Thanks, Korra.
Hello,
Hey.
how are you?
I'm alright. Mihal, I actually thought she was gonna be around, but she had somewhere to go right now. I'm almost done with editing this episode, but I thought if you could give us your 2 cents on the finale, I would be able to tack it on before I post it.
I would be happy to. Though, fair warning, it is 5 in the morning. I just got back to my room, so I am not entirely together. But
It's
sure,
okay.
happy to. I'll do this really quick. I really enjoyed the finale. I thought it was a lot of fun. The only bad part was that it got a little repetitive. I know some people don't love it when they get all Deus Ex Machina, whatever. But like, it's a kids show and it's fantasy, so that's how it is, and that doesn't bother me. I liked her and Mako breaking up, hopefully forever. Um, I don't know, it was cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next season with Spirits and Studio Mirror. So
But yeah, it's totally bizarre that they burned as many bridges as they did. They kind of reset the entire universe back to zero.
they did, and that's kind of cool, kind of scary, but kind of cool.
It is. We speculated that they might change the intro for next season just because technically Korra, she's part of the last cycle, but she's also part of this new cycle now, so maybe there's no more point in showing Kyoshi, Roku, and Aang.
Might be. Yeah. No, I really did enjoy watching it a great deal.
It was alright. I was, now that
What were your thoughts?
I gave it a 3 out of 5. I was not
Really?
into it. And it could just be because of how they presented it. Like we got 4 episodes at once last Friday, and I don't know. By the time I got to the last two, I was a little burned out. I thought Darkness Falls was pretty rad, but the last episode,
I really like Darkness Falls a lot.
Darkness Falls is pretty awesome. Pretty it's as the title implies, it's pretty dark. But the last episode, just with the giant kaiju battle in the bay, I was not feeling it. And then maybe it's because it was just so depersonalized. But it kind of felt like like the last few episodes of an anime where everyone is powered up to 9,000 and you can't really attach any emotion to it anymore. For me, at least.
Yeah, I did get that feeling a bit. It was a little repetitive at the end. I don't know. I guess you're definitely you're definitely right. I just mostly enjoyed it. But we've established that I have really low standards.
Yeah, my standards have definitely gone down this season. It's interesting because inevitably what will happen is that I will soften on it. By the time season 3 comes out, I will think that season 2 is a masterpiece. I've been listening to some of the music that played during the finale for this finale, and it's my opinion has gone up since we did our podcast just because I think that moment when Korra crosses the bridge to encounter her spiritual self, it's highly emotional in a way that I didn't feel when the episode first premiered.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, Bryke, they've done a few interviews since the season ended, and part of what they've said is that in Airbender, Aang was presented the choice to cross that bridge, and he rejected it to go back to Qatar. And in this case, they wanted to see what would actually happen when Korra went across the bridge. And that's something I didn't think about when the episode was airing, but in retrospect, I totally dig it. So do you have?
Um,
Go on.
oh no, sorry, what were you saying?
I was going to ask if you had any other thoughts on the finale.
Other thoughts? I'm a little fuzzy. I've been up for like a day and a half, 2 days. The other thoughts on finale. I thought Tenzin's shit was amazing. I thought the stuff with him and his kid and his family was really good. I was a big fan of the twins turning on their dad,
Yeah.
and I thought they somehow managed to resolve all of the stupid drama in a way that didn't make me mad. So who knows? Like maybe that'll continue to be true.
Yeah, the twins
Maybe
are great. I unexpectedly so. And as for
yeah.
Mako and Korra breaking up, I felt really split on it. Like on the one hand, it was a really mature scene. I thought it showed a lot of growth for them as characters. But on the other half, it felt like what was the point of all this drama that you put us through for the last 2 seasons if they weren't even gonna sort things out? In reading some of the interviews that Bryke have done since then, it seems like maybe they felt a little bullied into that decision, which makes me sad.
Into which decision? The breakup or the not breakup?
Into the breakup. They gave him basically the interview they gave him where their opinion after these 2 seasons is that fans in general prefer to not focus on relationships and rather to imagine them within the fandom, which is a stupid response because really what fans have been complaining about is that the romance it distracts too much from stuff that really matters within the story. It's not that it's bad, it's just that like there's not enough characterization to ground it properly. And so it
Yeah.
sounds like that maybe they felt like breaking up Mako and Korra was the only way to make fans happy, and I am never, ever, ever a fan of writers being bullied into decisions by what they think their fans want.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, we'll probably end up
It's
talking about that on Monday. Anyway, I'm sorry to call you at 5 a.m.
Oh, no worries. I'm awake. I did only just get home from a bar, so like it's not a huge deal. Um, and I'm glad to get to talk to one of you about it. It's nice.
Yeah, sorry we couldn't drag you into the
No worries. If that was the one you recorded last Sunday, that was the worst possible time, physically possible, for me to try to do a recording on a Sunday. So like, don't feel bad about it.
Sure, we ended up recording pretty late too, just because of how schedules worked out. But we wanted to get
Yeah.
Amin and Yu's opinions in there somehow, and so as soon as I saw your name popped up, I was like, okay, I'll pull him in.
Well, I'm glad you did, and I'm glad this way I get to listen. This is also nice because I hate listening to my own voice in podcasts. So now I get to listen to you guys and then skip the part with me.
Oh, that's a shame. You add flavor to our usual routine.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, hopefully next season I'll be able to return, and my time zone won't be weird then,
Sure.
whenever that is.
All right, get some sleep, buddy.
All right. Yeah, good talking to you, Katie. So,
All right, bye, Lee.
bye.